angels, right? There's two types of angels. We have less sophisticated angels and more sophisticated angels. What does our fundraising process look like? We run an iterative fundraising process, and the key driver of our process is to ensure that at all times we have enough feedback that would enable us to improve whatever needs to be improved in the business at the very different stages to ensure that we raise. That's our process. So we can start off with, let's say, right? There's two types of angels. We have less sophisticated angels and more sophisticated angels. So we start with the less sophisticated angels. We iterate the pitch. We pitch them. And here we want two outcomes. One, feedback, very candid feedback that will enable us to go back and improve the things that need to be improved about the business. Have it be the team, aspects of the business model, capital requirements, whatever it is, go to market and then improve it and improve that story. Part of the improvement can be the storytelling, but more often than not, there needs to be actually improvements in the business. Then once we have that outcome or we have a great, let's just say, story, we also want these folks to provide the second kind of feedback, which is super important, which is an investment. We essentially want to make sure that they want to invest. If they want to invest, it basically means, yep, I believe in this business. I believe in you guys. That's the ultimate piece of feedback, positive feedback, investments. Now, we move on from these angels to like super sophisticated angels. The reason being that super sophisticated angels tend to have a really high bar, and this bar is similar to that of VCs. These folks, for these folks, you want two things. One is feedback, which will enable you to go back and improve the business. And the second, but most important, is a positive signal. If you have a positive signal in the form of an actual investment, these folks actually want to invest. They get greedy when they see your deal because you incorporated all the feedback and now you have a no-brainer deal. Now you're golden because these folks, as do we also, introduce you to a whole bunch of funds and life becomes super easy. These folks can work as a gate to have warm introductions to dozens and dozens of funds. In the teams that we work with, when the teams are ready, we introduce them with 20, 30 funds and then drive the process. Now, once you move to the funds, again, there's kind of like two types. There's like the smaller, easier ones, and then there's the mega sophisticated ones that are larger, tend to be larger funds. There's no such thing as an easy fund, but that we draw a little bit that distinction. And then again, in this case, what you want to do is first meet up with 3 to 5 funds and get that feedback. Feedback in the form of terms. If one of these funds bites, meaning they provide an offer in writing, then we go and meet with everyone. And that's when we do calendar density. We first move with this 5 because you want to make sure that the market values your deal and that there's actual interest. So you do it 3 or 4 or 5. Now, if things didn't work out with this 3 or 4 or 5, you would want to try and get as much feedback as possible. I would get it most likely through a back channel. And then we go back and improve whatever needs to be improved on the business. Again, if things go well, you have terms and then you meet with everyone. That's calendar density. What you want to avoid is to bypass all these steps, don't know what your deal is like in terms of how well it'll be received in a market, and then go meet with 50 funds and everyone says no. And they start talking to one another and you gather this negative momentum and essentially you're fucked, right? That's what you want to avoid. So easier angels, more sophisticated angels, first set of funds, get terms, meet with everyone. And that way you do this process that works really well for us. It's iterative and it significantly minimizes risk of not raising.